Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Invictus Formula 4 League for round 5 at Italy for the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. I hope wherever you're joining in from tonight, you've had a great evening and a great day so far. You are joined just by myself today, Andre, in the commentary box, as per last week. And as per last week, I will try to keep you up to scratch with all of the action going on track tonight. But if I do miss anything, then I do apologize sincerely in advance if that is the case. This isn't the only F1 event that happened today, of course. We had a few livery launches and a few car launches. Aston Martin launched their car today and their title challenger, and Haas were supposed to launch their car as well, although I'm not sure about that one. But of course, the biggest event of the evening so far and the main event is the Formula 4 League. So, I do hope you enjoy the stream tonight, and if you do enjoy it, make sure to leave a like on the stream. Let's aim for a like goal of 10 tonight. Likes really do help out the Invictus Racing League team, and they help me out as well. They let me know what I do well, what I need to improve on, and what I need to change for next time. Do make sure to subscribe to Invictus Racing League as well, and visit our channel if you want to look back at any prior races that have happened, or any future races. Next week we are heading off to Austria. And this Monday, we had the PlayStation F1 League pick a track. On Tuesday, we had the PlayStation F2 League and the Xbox F1 League take to the track. And tonight, we have 4 races planned for you. The PlayStation F3 League, the F4 League, of course, which all of you will be watching. None of the other leagues, because this is the best one, of course. And we also had the PC F1 and F2 Leagues tonight. And tomorrow, we will be having the Realistic Performance League, which will take to the track for the last time this week to round off our visit to Italy. So, we have no driver lineup changes today. However, you could almost say that the race this week is a direct carbon copy of last week. For one reason, well, that's if all the drivers attend, of course. But for one main reason, and that's that Brennons is not attending this race tonight, which I'm sure will be of great help to some of his rivals, especially McLaren, who last week in Japan got a very nice haul of points from the race when O'Steven took 2nd place and Tin Man Z came in 7th. So they got a great solid amount of points for the McLaren team, and they're pushing their way up to the Mercedes Constructors Championship into 1st place. And they've broken free from Renault in the constructor standings, and they've knocked Ferrari down a position as well. Apologies really quickly. It appears that you might be hearing me quite quietly, so I will try and rectify that right now. Right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I should be back now, so hopefully you hear me a little bit better. Apologies for those technical difficulties. Still getting the hang of all of this streaming stuff, so there's that. So yeah, McLaren breaking free from Renault in the constructor standings. They knocked down Ferrari in a position. They're doing a good job in the constructor standings. They're just 13 points behind the Mercedes guys, so they are doing a very good job there. F1 Richard, of course, last week tried to defend the title, so far the first position of Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship, but he did come in 6th position, so he got some points, but definitely not enough, and 2 drivers always beat 1, especially with points, so that's what we found out last week. Ferrari drivers made some good progress after racing Tej, and a solid 5th place in Japan, although Red Bull are catching up to him. We had Eric Pancakes on the podium for the Pink Racing Point team, and he did a good job. However, unfortunately, he had a penalty from Russia which carried over to Japan, and so it meant that he was knocked off the podium, and he actually promoted Sir Spud onto the podium instead for the Red Bull team, which is helping the Red Bull team push up in the constructors a little bit closer to those Ferrari guys. So now we're seeing the drivers take to the track. We're currently on board with Prezi Boy, who came in 10th position last time in Alfa Romeo. His teammate, on his debut, Nelly 295, if any of you remembered, actually won the race in Japan. So it was a very good race for him last time out. He said he got a little bit lucky. However, lucky is all part of the game. and some safety cars definitely helped him out. So maybe we will see some safety cars today. The Constructors' Championship is actually very close. From 4th place to 8th place, it is only split up by about 4 points. So that is how close and competitive this league is getting. And the McLaren guys, of course, are breaking off slightly, and they're trying to bridge that gap to Mercedes and make their way to that first position. Now, let me just fix up the telemetry a little bit for you here. Alright, that should be fine. So, slightly different track this week compared to Japan. Few more straights. There's a yellow flag in sector 2. Few more straights. Slightly few corners. But still, Italy has its own technical challenges. The drivers will be on full throttle for 84% of the lap, which, by the way, stretches to 5.79 kilometers or 3.6 miles and comprises of 11 corners. The longest flat-out section is 1,520 meters, which is the pit straight and is accompanied nicely by a DRS zone. And the other DRS zone, which the Alfa Romeo driver just went through, is just placed behind the Ascari chicane. It's perhaps not the greatest for overtaking as we see in the race, but it does certainly keep you quite close to your tail. The drivers will be looking at achieving speeds up to of 350 kilometers per hour down the start finish straight, which starts off with the high speed and rather satisfying corner of Parabolica, which Prezi Boy just went through to set his first banker lap over 1:23, which is currently fastest. But we'll see what the other drivers have to say about that one, shall we? But yeah, as I was saying, Parabolica, quite a nice corner to finish off the lap on. It's a nice little slingshot to the start-finish line, and you really have to carry some good speed through it. But you can very easily go off the track and invalidate your lap as well, so you have to be quite careful. There. Let's get on board with another driver, Tinasop Chanel, into the pit lane there. We'll get on board with Roninosaurus in the racing point today. He's getting nice and comfortable with the wall there, and he's just heading for a Ascari now. Oh, a little bit wide there. I don't think he quite invalidated his lap there, so he's quite lucky there. A little bit wider again. He retired last time around in Japan, so he'll be looking to bounce back a little bit today and hopefully get a slightly better result in the race. So there's Parabolica. Quite difficult to nail, as you can see, but a nice corner nonetheless. And he's going to be sprinting to the line, and across the line he goes. He sets a 1:22.5. He's currently in 10th position, and currently in first position on provisional pole is Sir Spud, who set a 1:19.9. So that's quite a good lap, and we'll see obviously over the course of the qualifying session the track conditions will improve quite drastically, and so will the pace. So we'll be looking at potentially low 118s, potentially, well, low 119s for sure, and potentially drivers breaking into those 118s, sorry, and, well, maybe into the 117s if we're lucky tonight. In terms of tyres, we have a few drivers on the mediums tonight, so they're opting for that strategy, which is quite interesting. So the strategies tonight we're looking at is primarily the soft to the medium tyre. You really want to avoid the hard tyre at all costs in Italy. And the problem with it is really just the low downforce setups around here. The hard tyre just cannot grip as well as the soft or the medium tyre here, and you'll really struggle to get it around the track with it. So the drivers will probably be wanting to avoid that, unless of course there are any front wing incidents that require pitting right at the beginning of the race, and so maybe we'll see some hard tyres then. The medium runners will then be looking at a medium to soft strategy at the end, so it will be interesting to see what they can do on the alternate strategy. Perhaps get themselves nicely into the top 10 positions, get some nice points for them and their team. The alternate strategy is quite powerful around here. So Craig is one of those drivers. He's currently in the pit lane. He'll be looking to make a little bit of... He'll be looking to get a little bit of a better result this time around in Italy. He retired last time out in Japan. Of course, he's still getting used to some new hardware, but he will be hopefully looking to bounce back for Renault. They got knocked down a few positions in the constructor standings. Of course, his teammate, Ordino, who's on an outlap right now, actually, he finished in 8th position last time around in Japan, which was really good. So he got some good points, and that was his debut as well. So he did a very good job for Renault there. better than his teammate for sure, but we'll see what happens with that. We'll stay on board with the Red Bull driver here, tennis option now, who had a little bit of a difficult race last time out in Japan as well. Just couldn't get comfortable with the track, and he couldn't get in the groove, so he struggled a little bit there. Quite a little bit of front wing damage here and there. Ended up having to pit a lot during the race, so he lost a lot of time, and he didn't get the result he perhaps was hoping for, but all to play for here in Italy so far with 10 minutes to go in the qualifying session. As always, if you are enjoying the stream, do make sure to leave a like on it. We are aiming for 10 likes this evening, so if we can hit that like goal, that would be absolutely amazing. It would make my day. Also, do make sure to follow Invictus Racing League on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook to stay up to date with all of the intricacies Invictus Racing League has to offer. We don't necessarily post everything about driving on our social media. We do some nice driver interviews, and we try and get you involved and stuck into the league in some rather creative and interesting ways. We do hot laps as well, by the way, now, so you can be looking out for some hot laps of Austria next week. So Spud is going out on the medium tyre, which is quite interesting. So I believe he set his first lap on the soft tyre. So he thinks he can improve onto the medium tyre, and he thinks that might be a good idea, which it potentially could be, of course. The alternate strategy is very powerful. Perhaps he heard my comments. Some of the drivers have actually got off the medium tyre though, and they are getting onto the soft tyre to try and set a quicker lap with that, perhaps. So it will be interesting to see what Spud can do. Of course, to start on the medium tyre, he has to improve on his lap he set with the soft tyre. He has currently set the quickest lap of the session of 1:19.9, but it is technically possible to improve that on the medium tyre compound, especially if you use a slightly lower fuel level than you did with your first banker lap run. So you might be able to improve his lap there. We'll go on board with a driver on a lap. Nelly, just about to start his lap. As I said a little bit earlier, he managed to win the race last time out in Japan on his debut for IRL, which is very impressive, and he currently finds himself in 7th for his banker lap. He's starting his second lap on the soft tyre. We'll stay on board with him for the duration of the lap. Let's see how he does. Gaining through turn 1. You touch that inside curve a little bit. You have to do that. It does cut down on a little bit of time and a little bit of distance. Gives you a nice little time boost through there. But you've got to be careful. If you touch that sausage curve, you can lose a lot of time as well. He just went through Curva Grande, and he's heading through the Della Roggia chicane here. Possibly one of the most difficult chicanes on the game, actually. Quite difficult to nail. You have to take out a significant chunk of the chicane there, and then really launch your car over the sausage curve, as you saw, to try and gain all the time you can. He's heading through the Lesmo turns now, Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2. Quite nice to take, quite satisfying, very high-speed corners, but easy to invalidate on. And he's now using this DRS straight to gain all the speed he can. He's heading through a Ascari right now, the high-speed chicane. You really have to use up all of that curb on the inside. Ooh, he slightly gets, rear end gets a little bit loose there, as he gets quite comfortable with the curve at Ascari. But that is what you have to do to get past lap times, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. So, heading through Parabolica right now. Nice slingshot around the corner. He's going to be trying to minimize a little bit of distance, heading to the start-finish line and across the line. Let's see what he can do. He sets a 1:19.7, so currently the fastest, although I'm not sure any drivers have had the chance to respond to that. Doiji in second position currently. He's invalidated this one, although I believe he's on an in-lap. He's set a 1:19.8, so very close behind the likes of Nelly. He finished the last of the race runners in Japan, so he'll be looking to bounce back a little bit today. And his teammate, Racing Coach, finished in 5th position, so he did quite a good job there, getting some good points from McLaren. So hopefully the Ferrari driver of Doiji will be looking to help out his teammate a little bit there. So the driver's heading into the pit lane now. Still to Spud on the medium tyres, so he's pitted. Perhaps he couldn't improve on his lap, saw that there was no point, and he might go back onto the soft tyres for the rest of the qualifying session. Of course, plenty of time left for the drivers to still set their laps. 6 minutes. We're looking to finish the qualifying session soon enough, so we should be seeing their fastest laps come out very soon. And the McLaren drivers currently outside the top 10. Tim Manzi just on the straight, just before Parabolica now. I believe he's on an in-lap. but I could be wrong, could be mistaken. And yeah, so he'll be heading into the pit lane there. F1 Richard starting in 11th. He's also on an in-up. Most of the drivers will be coming into the pit lane and getting ready for their last run soon enough, which will probably also be their lowest fuel run and their quickest one as well, because theoretically the track will have improved to its best possible condition by the end of the qualifying session. So, it is dry today in both sessions. The drivers are quite lucky there. So, yeah, like I said, it will be primarily the soft and medium strategy today that the drivers will be looking at. No rain predicted, which will take a little bit of weight off of some of their shoulders, I am sure of that. Joe Hamster just now, he's heading through and he's going to be finishing off his lap. He's just going to be heading across the start-finish straight. He's still in 14th, so he can't improve on that one as of yet. His teammate, Darryl Whiffen, I've heard is quite quick around Italy apparently, but so far he finds himself in 8th position. So far, Nelly on that provisional pole. Eric Pancakes finds himself in 6th position. He got the pole last time around in Japan, so perhaps he'd be wanting to repeat that again here, but he hasn't quite managed it yet. Still got a little bit of time left in this to try and improve on that lap. TJ, TJW77 in the Williams, currently on his second lap on the soft tire. He qualified in 2nd position in Japan, which, as I said, yeah, it was a bit more of a twisty-turny track, maybe a bit less dependent on top speed. So perhaps he's not quite being able to get into the groove in qualifying with the slightly higher speeds that Italy has to offer. But speaking of someone who is getting into the groove, it is Tennis Optionel as of now, currently setting a 1:19.4, so he's improving quite nicely from Japan. Looking to bounce back, like I said, so doing a good job so far in qualifying. I believe TJ's run out of fuel here, which happens, believe it or not, does happen quite a bit actually. So the drivers do want to put in the lowest amount of fuel they possibly can, because of course that's the lower the fuel, the lighter the car, and the faster it will be subsequently. So sometimes you take that risk and you will find yourself running out of fuel towards the end of the lap, but it is what it is. He still has a little bit of time to maybe get out and go for one more run. O. Stevens, is in 6th place. He found himself in the podium last time around. He qualified in 11th position, actually. A bit of corner cutting there around the start. Anyhow, he found himself in 11th position at the end of qualifying last time around, and he ended up in 2nd. So he did a good comeback in the race, and clearly a bad qualifying does not rattle him. But currently he's not having a bad qualifying at all. His position is pretty decent around here, but as the driver's times improve, he might find himself getting knocked down the order slightly. So Sparta's on a lap right now. He's reverted back to the soft tire. Perhaps it was a slight mistake going off the medium, maybe an accident. He's heading through the Della Roger chicane. He goes purple in the first sector, so looking good so far. Just as I say that, his rear end gets a little bit loose through the Della Roger chicane. So, yeah, it's quite a difficult chicane to negotiate, but he does manage it quite nicely. Oh, and he does go off quite wide at Lesmo too, getting quite comfortable with the gravel trap there. That's quite easy to do. And in the race, when the tyres start getting a little bit warm, you'll see that the drivers will do that a little more often. They'll get quite comfortable on the AstroTurf on the outside, and his rear end's getting quite loose there through Ascari, and he's abandoned the lap there, unfortunately. For him, I don't know if he'll have enough time for another run, or enough fuel rather. And the McLaren driver roasting is just heading out. There is a McLaren behind him though. Just wants to get on board with him. It is Tin Manzi, 193, pushing it as hard as he can. Trying to hug that corner there in Parabolica. Look at that, he's minimizing the distance here to the start finish straight. Across the line he goes, and into 5th position. Good lap from him. A 1:19.9. So that is possibly his last run of qualifying, but we'll see what he has to say about that. Good run so far from him in 5th position. He's beating his teammate in qualifying, and we'll see what that will turn to in the race. Do get involved in the comment section of the show tonight as well. If you have any predictions you want to make for the race, qualifying is just finishing off, so and all for qualifying as well actually. There are still some drivers left running. Doigi in 5th position in the Ferrari car. Driver for the Italian team, of course, will be wanting to perform. He's got a 10th quicker in Sector 1. He goes over the Della chicane now quite nicely, being quite cautious. Perhaps you saw some dust hit up there earlier. Perhaps he's a little bit not fond of that gravel trap on the exit of the Della chicane. He's heading through the Lesman turns right now quite nicely, carrying some nice speed through there, and he's going to be heading down to Ascari now. I'll really quickly like to stay on board tennis option now. He's just going through Lesman 1 and 2. He's currently on provisional pole, and he's looking good so far. Perhaps he can improve his lap and extend that pole, or perhaps Doigi will be able to get him himself. So he's currently in 5th position with a 1:19.8. Can he change this? Will he be able to do anything about this? He's heading through the Parabolica chicane, down to the start finish straight. No, he's not. He's abandoned the lap, so clearly not quick enough, despite being 1/10 up in the first sector. Perhaps he lost a little bit of time there at the end. We'll stay on board with tennis option now then. He's just finishing off his lap here, heading through the Parabolica curve. He's minimizing his distance to turn to the start finish straight, but he's abandoned his lap as well, so clearly not improving there. Wonder if any other drivers are going for a lap. I believe Prix is on an in lap. And we have CJ here, he's finished. Prezi Boy is the only driver left going for a lap right now. He's in 13th position for the Alfa Romeo team. What can he do? Sending it through Parabolica. Yellow flags up ahead, but that will not worry him. He will cross the line, and he will stay 13th, unfortunately. That was a 1:24, so slightly slower than his boss's lap. Well, good qualifying session for some, that is for sure. Very interesting there for the drivers. Everyone looking at the soft tyres so far, so no one deciding to go on the mediums. Clearly not worth it for the drivers. And they will be looking at that soft to medium strategy. So I'll run you through the qualifying order. Tennis option L lines up in first for Red Bull. And the Brit of Joe Hamster finishes off the front row of the grid in the AlphaTauri. Craig finds himself in third with Nelly in fourth, the winner last time around in Japan. Aldino in fifth in the Renault, Doigi in sixth in the Ferrari, Eric Pancakes in seventh, Tin Manzi in eighth for the McLaren. In ninth we have Sir Spud, and in 10th TJW77 for the Williams. O. Stephen, the other McLaren driver, in 11th, F1 Richard in 12th, Prezi Boy in 13th, Daryl Whiffen in 14th, Towley in 15th, Racing Tej in 16th, and Ronanosaurus in 17th. And that rounds off your qualifying grid for tonight's race, ladies and gentlemen. So do get your predictions in the comments. I'll be interested to see what you think will happen tonight. As always, if you are enjoying the stream, do be sure to leave a like on it tonight. Do be sure to subscribe as well to Invictus Racing League to not miss any content. Tomorrow we have the Realistic Performance guys taking to the track to finish off Italy for us this week. And next week we will be at Austria. So, just before the drivers take to the start, just waiting them to get ready for their formation laps. It will be interesting to see the strategies at play today. I believe it will be the soft medium strategy, and actually interesting to see what the guys outside the top 10 will choose. Probably most of them will go onto the medium tyre, and then they will go onto the soft tyre towards the end of the race. But we'll see what they have to say about it. The hard tyre, yeah, not really an option in Italy. It's difficult to manage with a low downforce setup, a little bit slippy. If I'm honest, you may as well have ice blocks on your tyres instead of the hard tyres. They are quite a pain sometimes to manage, so you really won't be getting much pace out of them, but who knows? Maybe some of these drivers will manage to do that. I apologise for hearing some pauses. during the show tonight. I am trying to stay hydrated. I've got 2 pretty much massive jugs standing on my windowsill right now. I've learnt last week that you do get quite dehydrated commentating and talking for this long. So I've learnt my lesson, and I'm trying not to die of thirst this lap. As for the drivers, hopefully they're staying hydrated as well. Clearly for some of them, they are setting quite fast laps there in qualifying. You can actually stay quite... You can take a few sips during qualifying. You have some good time to do that. But during the race, it's a bit more risky. Although you can do it on the straights if you're quick enough. So, the drivers keeping their tyres nice and warm. Now, let me get up the telemetry for you guys here, so we can see some of these tyres that they've taken. Okay, so interesting. A mixed bag. They have, soft tyres for all of the top 10 because they qualified on them, and then outside the top 10 we have McLaren of Stephen taking the mediums, Prezi Boy taking the mediums as well, and Towley taking the mediums. So perhaps they can see something happening with the strategy. As you can see, there is the predicted pit stop strategy just below. Softs, mediums, you'll be looking to pit at around lap 11. And if you're going to the hards, then you'll be looking at pitting around lap 9. One thing I forgot to mention in qualifying actually was tows. I don't think we saw much towing down the straights. It's a good tactic here in Italy. Very long straights and very easy to tow and gain some time, but I don't think we saw much of that today. But it's fair enough. These drivers are quite independent and they're quite competitive. They like to get on with their own thing, so perhaps tows on there sort of thing, not the way they drive. So, let's see what the drivers can do off of the start into turn 1. Perhaps they'll be careful, or perhaps they'll be a little bit more aggressive and gain some positions off of the start. Of course, we don't know what can happen into turn 1. Anything can happen here at Italy. It's quite a difficult turn to negotiate, especially at the start. The cars will be really close to each other, so it will be quite easy to hit into the car in front of you or make any errors like that and lose your front wing. So the drivers will be looking to avoid that mistake today. So now we're seeing the drivers line up on the front of their grid. Hopefully their tyres are nice and warm. They're going to need that for the start. And just waiting for the back of the grid to line up here. There is a 638-meter run down to turn 1, so plenty of opportunity for some position gains there. We'll see what the drivers can do about that. And as the lights come on, they'll be watching those lights like hawks, waiting for them to go out, and they'll be stamping on the throttle as soon as they do. So we have 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, and 5 lights ahead of the drivers today at the Invictus Formula 4 League. And it's lights out, and away they go. Tinnis Chanel gets a good launch there ahead of the other drivers. He's managed, but Johamster's got an even better launch. Look at that. He's already up into first position before they've even hit turn 1. Craig into third place nicely. He's trying to keep it clean behind the 2 drivers. Johamster leaving Tinnis Chanel plenty of room there at the back. Bit of contact between the Racing Point driver and the Williams of Towley there. Towley going into the gravel trap. Racing Point driver not leaving him any millimeter of room there. Hard racing between the 2 drivers there. Tin Manzi finding himself in 8th position. He's currently had a pretty clean start. They head through the Della Roger chicane quite clean so far. He's all over the back of Towley so far. Towley has a little slip there, and Tin Manzi might be looking to make a move into Lesmo 1. Will he manage it? TJ just holds it around the outside there. So no, not too much fighting there. I think he decides to back out of it there and decides to live to fight another day. Up ahead, Nelly making a move onto Chanel there. He's dropped a few places here, but still 27 laps of the race left. Perhaps Nelly was using a bit of overtake there to try and get past him. He goes wide into Ascari though. Johamster going a little bit wide as well. Tinnis Chanel using some of that overtake. He wants to stay as close to Nelly as he can. Will he be looking to make a move through Parabolica perhaps? No, not through Parabolica, but maybe he'll be looking to make a move into turn 1. And now he's going to be onto the back of Nelly. Johamster sets the fastest lap of the race. He's in P1 currently. We have Aldino chasing down Eric Pancakes a little bit here. We're having a slight timing glitch right now. as Roninosaurus actually pits, so he's got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Perhaps he got some damage on the start there, which is a little bit unfortunate. We'll probably see him go onto the hard tyres here. Tennis optional currently in second, which is just not true because having a little bit of a glitch here in terms of the timing. But Aldino just staying behind the likes of Eric Pancakes, who's trying to put the pressure onto Tinnis Optionel there. Interestingly, Roninosaurus is actually onto the medium tyre, so you can see he stretch this to the end. That will be brave from him, and if he can, I'll be very impressed. But who knows? These drivers can do anything here. And what Roninosaurus really needs right now is a safety car. He needs a safety car to bunch everyone up a little bit, just so he can get a little bit closer to the rest of the pack. And we'll see if the drivers have anything to say about that. But so far, staying nice and clean through Italy. We have a yellow flag in Sector 3, an incident through Ascari, I believe. Oh, there's an AlphaTauri going wide into the gravel trap. He's spun around. I believe a Williams was involved in contact there. TJ, he's had a pretty awful start there. He's gone down to 15th place. There was a bit of contact there through Ascari. I don't know what happened. I believe O'Steven, you can see his steering's a little bit, tiny bit heavy there. Maybe he was involved. Maybe he's got some damage. He doesn't head into the pit lane, but Spud does. So after coming 3rd place last time round in Japan, he's not had such a great start here in Italy. Some form of contact at Ascari. It's a risky corner to overtake at. It's very high speed, and it's very easy to not leave your opponents enough room, or perhaps leave them too much and go off the track yourself. And that could be what happened there. So some contact between some drivers, or perhaps a driver losing it on his own there, losing some front wing. Nice little train we have here, from 1st position down to 6th. Aldino trying to chase down Eric Pancakes. He's trying to stay with him. Gorilla's not on, he goes sliding there. So the soft tyres just beginning to show their wear and sliding again. He's using a bit of overtake, so he wants to try and stay with Eric Pancakes here. Tin Man Z slightly behind him in 7th position. And Nelly has actually made a move for the lead, so he's into the lead after being in 2nd place for enough. He's decided, no, I've been in 2nd place too much, I've had enough of it, so he's made that move into 1st position with the aid of that DRS, I'm sure. And Craig is on the charge as well. Look at that, making a move on Tinnis Optionel. They're having a little bit of a battle right now. Tinnis braking very late there. Can he hold it around the outside of Parabolica? Of course, plenty of space here to do that, so that's entirely possible. But Craig is going to have none of it. Will he stay with him, or will he try and overtake him? No, it looks like Tinnis Optionel is having none of it. He's going to be making a move on Joe Hamster into turn 1. And will he be able to make a move on Nelly as well? It's 3 wide. It's almost 4 wide into turn 1, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. This is brilliant racing from the drivers here at the Formula 4 League. Joe Hamster almost losing it on the exit of turn 1. He's getting very excited at this battle here. Tinnis Optionel decided to use up all of that overtake there, and as you can see on the steering wheel, he's running a little bit low. It's only lap 4, so perhaps he needs to cool off a little bit on that ERS deployment there. But wow, what a battle, and what some overtakes we had into turn 1. Great driving and great racing we see from the F4 guys. So we just had, so Spud and Roninosaurus currently just trailing behind the rest of the pack. They're probably not fighting, they're probably going to be wanting to work together to try and make their way forward. Daryl Whiffen as well. He's pitted onto a fresh set of soft tyres, so he either doesn't want to go onto the hard tyres, or he doesn't think he can get the mediums to the end. So perhaps that is why he has opted for those soft tyre compound. He'll then be looking to pit a little bit later than the rest of the drivers, and then he'll probably be wanting to pit onto the medium tyre, and he'll have to push very hard to get the most he possibly can out of that soft tyre. As you can see, Eric Pancakes really trying to cut down on that distance to the start-finish line, as Tin Man Z sets the fastest lap of the race so far. Nelly and Tinnis Optionel fighting again for the lead. These guys really aren't giving me a break, are they? Still side by side, but Nelly does defend it just about. Tinnis Optionel putting him under all sorts of pressure, and Roninosaurus has actually retired from the race. I wonder if this is going to be a safety car. He's retired on the exit of Ascari there. You can just see him on the left as Daryl Whiffen passed him. And it is a safety car. It's a full-on safety car at the Formula 4 League tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So it will be interesting to see what the drivers can do in terms of their strategies. A lot of drivers on the soft tyres, quite a few on the medium tyres. The guys on the medium tyres will probably be looking to stretch these, but the guys on the soft tyres might be looking to pit onto their mediums. They could well get them to the end, especially if the safety car lasts a few laps, so they might want to do that. They might not want to get under hard tyres though, but who knows. Let's see what they do here, ladies and gentlemen. Nelly still leading the race. This is a really good news for Tinus Optional. It gives him a chance to charge up some of that ERS he used at the start of the race to try and fight Nelly. So that has really come. It couldn't have come at a more perfect time for the Red Bull driver here. Currently running in second position. Joe Hamster in third, just behind him. Let's see what these drivers do. Will they follow each other into the pits? Will they try and do what their rivals don't? Nelly looking like he's not going to pit, but Tinus Optional is going to pit. So the two drivers here not going for the pit lane, but Tinus Optional opting for it. I wonder if any other drivers are going to follow him in. Yes, they are. Eric Pancakes for the Racing Point, Craig as well, and Aldino following his teammate in. Not great. He's going to be held up quite a lot here in the pit lane. The double stack just doesn't quite work here, so he's being held up so much in the pit lane here. It's not too good for Aldino there. A lot of drivers going onto the hard tyre, so they clearly think they can make it to the end on a hard tyre, which they can, but they clearly think the pace on them isn't too bad. So very interesting strategy choices from them. A lot of drivers heading onto those hard tyres. Tin Man Z onto the medium tyre. So he'll be looking to stretch that to the end of the race, which he might be able to do. And especially with all these other drivers on the hard tyres, he might be able to get them at the start of the safety car, on the safety car restart. Sorry. So yeah, interesting strategy choice from the drivers. A lot of drivers ditching the soft tyre compound. So only the top two, or well, the first and third, staying on the soft tyre. Now they're up into first and second, of course, because Tinus Optional fitted. And Doiji is now up into third as well. He's on those soft tyres. And Brezzy Boy is getting nice and close to him. Perhaps he's trying to tell him, hey, I am quick enough to overtake you, just so you know. So maybe putting a little bit of pressure on him, just even in the safety car stages. He's on the medium tyres, and eventually the soft tyres will start to wear off. So the Alfa Romeo driver might be looking to make some inroads onto Doiji there, and perhaps be looking to overtake him. Tinus Optional has also opted for the medium, so Tin Man Z and Tinus Optional are the only two drivers who have opted for the medium tyres. Brave from them, and I'm sure they can stretch to the end, but we'll see what they can do here. We're slowing up, and the safety car is going for another lap, which does benefit the medium guys even more. The further they can go with the safety car, the better it is for them, because the higher the chance they can stretch those tyres to the end without excessive amounts of wear. So we may not have seen any rain tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but we certainly have seen a safety car, which has thrown up a few strategy dilemmas for some of the drivers, and always nice to see this. Gives them a little bit of a break, but does make them think. So, as always, if you're enjoying the show tonight, do be sure to subscribe to Invictus Racing League on YouTube. Don't miss out on any content we have to provide. Tomorrow, the realistic performance drivers take to the track, and next week we will see some of the drivers take to Austria. Also, make sure to follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook to stay up to date with all things Invictus. And if you'd like to get a little bit more involved and a little bit more stuck into the racing, perhaps you can head over to invictusracingleague.com and head to the Apply to Race section of the website, where you can find yourself on the grid with these guys, or maybe even, if you want a bit more of a challenge, the Formula 3 guys, F2 guys, or the F1 guys. We run leagues across all three platforms, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, so there are plenty of options for you to choose from, and there are plenty of free seats available as well. So if you want to find yourself on the grid and get into a little bit of this action, then be sure to apply to race. So the safety car, I believe, is coming in at the end of this lap. Restart for the drivers. They'll be restarting through to lap 8. Nelly, leaving the pack, he'll be looking to stomp on that throttle as soon as possible, or maybe deceive some of the guys behind him. You know, weaving, trying to get some temperature into their tyres so they can get as much of an advantage as they can off of the start. A very crazy race we've had here so far at Italy. I hope everyone has enjoyed it so far. Let's try and aim for that light goal of 10. But perhaps I should stop talking, because we are about to get going here as Nelly stomps on that throttle. Racing Tej gets a penalty there for colliding with one of the other drivers. There's been a bit of contact at the back of the grid. I don't know what's happened there. Yellow flag there. We'll go back to the front of the grid though. Let's see if there are any battles here. Doiji is trying to make a move on Joe Hamster. He's left him perhaps a bit too much space. Oh, and they're going awfully slow there through the exit of turn 1. That's Prezi Boy losing it, and he's out of the race. He's lost it completely on the exit of turn 1 there, and his suspension is broken, his tyre has come off. Will we see another safety car? And in fact, there's a Williams driver involved there as well. Perhaps he got tapped a little bit there. The driver of O. Stevens spinning around on those hard tyres. He's had a bit of an incident there, and the AlphaTauri driver as well. I'll go to the front of the grid. I'll try and keep you up to scratch with some of the action going on up here. Craig and Tim Manzi getting slightly behind the rest of the drivers. Perhaps Craig has had a slightly slower start on those hard tyres. Tim Manzi will be looking to dispatch them very soon. Joe Hamster has lost his position to Doiji. I think he went for a move on Nelly, but, oh no, sorry, I think Doiji went for a move on him actually. And he couldn't quite keep it up, but he has spun, so as you can see, his tyres are a little bit overheated, and his rear end is sliding a little bit in the back there. So Spud is getting nice and close to Aldino in his second race at Invictus Racing League, so he's not looking to be kind to him. He wants to get rid of him as soon as he possibly can, and of course he does. He's on the medium tyres, and of course they are a little bit more worn than the hard tyre, but he will still have the outright grip advantage. Tim Manzi is catching at a rapid rate to Craig, but he is staying behind him a little bit there. Tennis option now heading into the pit lane there. Perhaps he has wing damage, so maybe he'll be looking to get that repaired. Yes, he does have wing damage. You can see the mechanics there at the front taking off his wing. And sorry, as Craig and Tim Manzi are battling it out here through turn 1, Tim Manzi makes a nice move on Craig. He clearly has some good grip in those medium tyres, and Craig is all over the back of him. Will he be looking to make a comeback into the Della Roggia chicane? No, he thinks better of it. Tim Manzi locking up a little bit there. Putting on a little bit of a sweat, as he probably saw the Renault driver in his mirror. But Craig staying behind Tim Manzi, probably for the better. Perhaps Craig can use Tim Manzi as his taxi, effectively, to get up to the rest of the drivers, because he's on the hard tyre compound, and if he can stay within the DRS zone of Tim Manzi, he might find himself making his way up to the podium runners. And of course they'll be pitting soon anyways, so these guys will take the lead momentarily. So if he stays with Tim Manzi, he will be in a very good position. But so far, these two keeping it nice and clean and respectful. Aldino, after being put under a little bit of pressure from Spud, is trying to get up to Sir Richard now. So perhaps Sir Spud is telling him, hey, I have the medium tyres, get a move on. And he's doing just that. So he's trying to close that gap to F1 Richard. The battle of the hard tyres with the medium runner pushing them just behind them. And it'll be interesting to see what he could do. Craig getting quite close to Tim Manzi as well, who's getting close to Joe Hamster himself. He's catching up to Joe. Joe's having a real problem with those soft tyres. They are very worn indeed after his spin at turn 1, and Tim Manzi is having none of it. He's not waiting any second longer. He's going to be making a move round the outside of him nicely there at the Curva Grande. Look at that. Very nice move from Tim Manzi. Nicely done from him. Very easy, and that looks good from him, keeping it nice and clean through the Della Roggia chicane as well, as we have a little bit of action here at the back, as Spud has gone for a move on Aldino, so he's clearly run out of patience there a little bit, and he's gone for a move on him through the Della Roggia chicane. We had a few position switches there. TJ now, onto the medium tyres, is getting onto the back of O. Stephen. He's had not such a great start to this race today, but he'll be looking to make his way up the grid on those medium tyres. Of course, both of them on fresh medium tyres, so they are effectively on, they've got it equal between them two, so they'll be racing on pure outright pace. TJ gets a slightly bad exit out of turn 1, but he's still got a little bit more to go in the race, so plenty to do, and plenty of time left to make some moves. Joe Hamster slipping quite a lot on the soft tyres. He's going to be pitting this lap. A very good decision from him, if I say so myself. He's really ruined those tyres after his spun at turn 1, so he's lost a lot of time. He'll definitely be looking to go on the mediums, and he'll easily make them to the end of the race. He stretched them very nicely to 11 laps, and speaking of people who are stretching their tyres, Nelly and Doiji as well, 10 laps each on their soft tyres. They'll be wanting to stretch them a little bit to the medium compound as well, as Tennis Optional lands himself a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. It's quite easy in some places to get warnings in Italy and subsequently penalties, so you'll see the drivers running off, as you see Doiji heading through here, Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2. quite easy to run off wide there and get a little bit too comfortable with the AstroTurf, get some warnings. Once you pick up one warning, it's easy to pick up two, and once you pick up two, it's very easy to pick up three, and there you go. So Spud, perfect example, he's just got another 3-second time penalty, so they're just coming through right now as the drivers are pushing, particularly to Spud, so he's wanting to get the most out of that medium compound that he possibly can, so he's all the way over the back, of F1 Richard. So he'll be looking to dispatch him very soon and get up to Tin Man C, who is going to take the lead of the race soon enough. But of course, when these guys pit, which Doiji is going to do right now, and so is Nelly, both of the race leader and the man in second place have both pitted, gifting Tin Man Z the lead for now. But he now needs to try and preserve these medium tyres for as long as he can and try and get them to the end of the race. He pitted quite early on them. It's very easy to get them to the end, of course, even from the lap that he pitted at, but that is what he will be looking to do there. So Spud, getting on the back of F1 Richard, I think he tried to make a move on him through turn 1, and as you can see by his steering wheel, it's green at the bottom there, which means he's using overtake, and he's going to be using overtake into the Della Rogia chicane. Will he be able to make a move down the inside of F1 Richard? Yes, he will. Both drivers leaving each other, a lot of space, but F1 Richard, oh, he thought about the switchback there, couldn't quite make it because his tyres, of course, can't quite keep up with the grip of the medium tyres. Excuse me, I just had to take a drink there. I haven't taken a sip of water for a while now. They've been keeping me nicely on my toes here. And Eric Pancakes getting all over the back of F1 Richard now as well. No break for me, unfortunately. He's going to be on the soft tyres with DRS and a little bit of overtake, but this is a Scari, so quite risky to make a move through, but he does manage it. F1 Richard, being nice and respectful, left him plenty of space there, and now he's being under threat from Aldino. Driver in a second race at IRL, F1 Richard is slowly tumbling down the order, which he will surely be a little bit frustrated about, because his teammates are here, and he needs to try and do his best to defend his first position in the constructor's standing for Mercedes. So, he will be wanting to stay as high up the grid as he can. Aldino is going to say no to that, and he is going to make a move down the inside of F1 Richard there, but he brakes just slightly later than the Renault driver there, going very wide. Will Aldino be able to go for a switchback? Not quite. Didn't quite have enough speed for the switchback move there, but F1 Richard defending his position quite nicely there from the Renault driver. So far, settling in a bit. We do have Eric Pancakes, who's the only soft tyre runner though. He's done quite a few laps on these soft tyres, and he'll be looking to pit again. He's pitted once already, and yeah, he really needs a safety car as well now actually, because that would really help him out. If he pits and he gets onto a medium tyre, then that safety car would really help him in not losing out any more time than he needs to through the pit lane. You lose 19 seconds when you pit, of course, so the drivers do have to keep that in mind when they go into the pit lane for their strategies. But so Spud getting a tiny bit out of shape on the exit of the Scari. Will Eric Pancakes take advantage of this? Yes, he will. Not using too much overtake, perhaps a little bit on the exit of the Scari. He's going to go for a move down the inside of Parabolica. Nice and easy on the soft tyres. Oh, the Red Bull driver getting quite close to the back of the racing point to his diffuser. So he's perhaps a little bit frustrated that he got overtaken. But he's going to stay in the slipstream. Will he be making a move back to take third place back from him? Eric Pancakes goes to the inside to try and defend it. The Red Bull driver to the outside line. He brakes quite late, but the Racing Point driver brakes even later, and he defends his position quite nicely. So Spud tries to get that switch back, but the superior grip on the soft tyres just will not help him, and he will have to stay in fourth for now. F1 Richard is in third position on the hard tyres, chasing down the Red Bull driver, of course. Nelly, the net race leader, who pitted for the medium tyres very recently, is now on the charge. He's getting onto the back of Racing Tej, another hard tyre runner. So the hard tyre runner is actually staying surprisingly high right now, but as you can see, he's getting so much time on the braking zones and so much time through the corners. The grip advantage of those mediums is just very clear, and he's not going to be going for a move into Ascari. Perhaps he sees that the red light of Racing Tej is blinking. Maybe he knows that his ERS is running out and he can make a move on him down the start-finish straight. Racing Tej getting a little bit out of shape through Ascari, and then he's all over the back of him, putting that pressure onto him. His red light blinking again, so he is running out of the ERS, and Nelly will possibly be looking to make a move down the start-finish straight with the help of that DRS. Of course, they've got 1,500 meters down, 1,520 meter run from the Parabolica turn to turn 1, and Nelly will take advantage of that fully, using that DRS, not using too much overtake, but he will make a move down the inside of Racing Tej nicely there. No need to bang wheels, no need to make a move through the turn. He does it on the straight, nice and sensible from him. He is up into 7th place, and he has his eye set firmly on that first position, as we have some drivers behind who are just fighting here. The Ferrari of Doiji and Joe Hamster there as well. They were having a little bit of a battle there, and there is the end of that one. So Doiji getting a little bit behind Joe Hamster, but maybe he'll get a little closer to him to make a move. TJW and O-Steven have been at it for quite a while now, being quite close to each other, trading blows, and TJ is going to go for a move down the outside. Will he be able to make it on the McLaren driver? Yes, he will. Good battle from these two. They're putting on quite a bit of a show at the back of the grid. Towley, of course, he's quite far behind the rest of the pack. He's had quite a difficult race, a very difficult race for the Williams team here, of course. He's on the hard tyres going to the end, but he is quite a while behind the rest of the pack, so a bit of a shame for him. But who knows? Maybe he's hoping for another safety car. As you saw there, Dennis Optional picking up 3 seconds, so he's struggling a little bit with track limits, and he currently finds himself in 11th. So not great for him. He'll be wanting to minimise those penalties, and Tim Manzi getting a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. I wonder what happened there. Perhaps, well, who knows? 5 seconds, that's quite harsh from the game, so he must have cut the corner a little bit there. Maybe he went onto the runoff at turn 1 a little bit. Misjudges his braking quite a tiny bit, so that's not going to help him out a lot. Craig is going to be putting the pressure into him and those hard tyres. Eric Pancakes in 3rd, however, starting to drop off a little bit. He's made the move on Spud, but Spud might be looking to make a move back on Eric Pancakes as his tyres get a little bit more. Excuse me. Just had dinner quite recently, so going to still be taking plenty of drinks of water to not suffer from too much thirst here. But yes, Spud staying quite complacent behind Eric Pancakes. Perhaps he knows he's going to pit, so he's not going to will him on to get a move on there. Craig, however, gaining a little bit of time on T, who is he's losing a bit of time there. He's doing a good job currently leading the pack, but that might not be for too long. So Craig, despite being on that high tower, and despite it maybe not favouring the lower downforce setups, is actually doing quite well there as Eric Pancakes pits. So he's going to be looking to go onto the medium tyres for the end, or no, or will he stretch it to the... No, he will be going to the mediums. Yeah, so medium tyres on for him to the end of the race. 10 laps should be a very easy 10 laps for him, and he can really push on that medium tyre because he can be confident that it will make it to the end. That tyre can easily go from lap 10 to the end, so he's got plenty of extra time there to do that. So yeah, settling in now at the F4 League. Although I do say that, I feel like in the next few laps something crazy is going to happen. Perhaps I shouldn't get too complacent here from the commentary box. We have a few drivers staying nice and close to each other. Ordino in 5th position in the Renault. He's making good inroads there as his teammate picks up a 3-second penalty. The top 3 all have penalties now, and Craig is starting to drop off to Tim Manzi. So Tim Manzi has decided to pick up the pace a little bit. Ordino also picks up a penalty himself. Yeah, it's easy to be a little bit careless at Italy, get a little bit complacent with the track limits, and then slowly but slowly you'll find yourself exceeding and getting those penalties. Nelly on the charge, however, he is onto the back of F1 Richard now, and he is going to be looking to make a move on him down the straight as he sets a faster sector 3, so he is very much onto that pace there. He is staying up to speed. Clearly taking advantage of the DRS and perhaps using some overtake there. Nice move down the inside, very sensible from the Dutch driver here. So, he's come off with the back of the win in Japan. He knows he has that confidence as TJ retires actually at the Ascari chicane, so it goes from bad to worse for the Williams drivers and the Williams constructors, unfortunately there. He finds himself retired in the gravel trap at Ascari. He possibly lost it, and there's still a yellow flag there, but no safety car yet. Perhaps the game's got fed up with taking the safety car out. He said, "No, I've had enough of this. Keep it in the pit lane." So no safety car yet, but the drivers are heading through that section just now. So his car has been cleared. So no safety car there. But that was really unfortunate for the Williams driver. We'll see if Towley can make any inroads, but to be fair to him, he's been staying in the race. He's been going at it. Even though he is in last place, he has not left. He is not retired. He has not quit. So he is really, the persistence and the resilience shown by him is something great there. And as Tim Manzi heads just past Parabolica, he'll be lapping the Williams driver eventually. Now Tim Manzi will be putting on a little bit of a sweat eventually, because his medium tyres will soon start to wear out a little bit, but no worries for him. He's still got plenty of life left in them, and so Spud behind him has not got as much life left, and he's chosen to pit onto the soft tyres, so he clearly thinks that's a better gamble there. Perhaps his medium tyres have got too worn. Clearly that's the better choice for him, or maybe he's going to be going for the fastest lap. We'll see what he can do. Joe Hamster, of course, he was once up there, up in the top 3. He is getting on the back of Tinnis Option now. He's on the medium tyres, and perhaps he'll be looking to make an overtake on the Red Bull driver soon enough. But no, not too many overtakes right now, so the drivers are calming down, giving me a little bit more of a break, and letting me catch a few breaths, should we say. in the closing stages of this race now, as I say, as we have only a handful more laps left. Craig and Tim Manzi are trading blows in terms of time. Craig was 1.5 seconds behind him, now 6/10, but then again, that was the situation a few laps ago, and Tim Manzi managed to pull out a second and a bit of a gap. But Craig is staying quite comfortably in the DRS of Tim Manzi. He is, however, running out of overtake there, as you can see by the steering wheel. Tim Manzi, however, is not. He's got plenty of overtake left, so he's just going to wait, and he's got plenty to defend from Craig. Craig, of course, has the DRS zone, though, so perhaps he'll be looking to charge up a little bit towards the end of the race. And, of course, since he's on those hard tyres, perhaps he knows Tim Manzi's mediums will wear off a little bit quicker than his, so maybe he'll be wanting to make a move in the closing stages of the race. Nelly, however, back up into 3rd place. He was once up in that top 3, and he's pitted. He pitted onto a medium tyre 7 laps ago, and he's making inroads back to that top 3, so he's got his eyes set on that first position he once had, and he wants to get it back. And he's certainly gaining time on the likes of Craig and Tim Manzi. We'll see what Tim Manzi does. Maybe he'll let him through eventually if he feels that he's too slow, or maybe he won't. Maybe he'll fight it. We'll see how much time these guys want to lose. Craig is putting pressure on him through the Ascari chicane, but he doesn't want to make a move there. He's thought better of it. As I said, Ascari, a bit of a difficult corner to make a move on, so Craig will live to fight another day. Maybe he'll get him on the start-finish straight though, but he is running desperately out of the RS there, so maybe he won't have enough power to do that, as we have a yellow flag in Sector 3, and that is the Renault driver, Rodino, who's spun around off the back of Ascari. Some other drivers just heading here, they're gaining some free positions. It's been gifted to them, and unfortunately, he was driving a really good race. Perhaps I shouldn't have said that earlier on in the race. Maybe that is what ruined it. Commentator's curse coming into play a little bit there, so unfortunate for the Renault driver. He's done 13 laps on the hard tyres. Perhaps the hard tyres are getting to the end of their life for him. Maybe he's just not getting enough grip with them. So Ascari, a little bit of a tricky corner to negotiate, as Tinnis Optionel and Racing Teja having a little bit of a battle on the hard and medium tyre. Tinnis Optionel trying to stick it on the outside. A little bit of banging wheels, but surprisingly clean from the two drivers, of course. Tinnis Optionel, with his tyre advantage, will overtake him. His tyres are less worn, and they're a softer compound, so he will get a move on Racing Teja down there quite nicely. He's low on ERS, and so is Tinnis Optionel, so these drivers running out of ERS towards the end of the lap. Cuts the corner a little bit there, and he's gone wide onto the gravel trap, so Racing Teja is going to say thank you very much, and I'll take that position from you. The other Ferrari driver is looking to make that move as well. Tinnis Optionel getting a little bit too uncomfortable with that rear end. The Ferrari squeeze, as I like to call it now. The Italians are really trying to pounce on the Red Bull driver, and he's going to be looking to pounce back on the Ferrari that just overtook him. So nice and easy with the RS and some of that overtake. He gets past him before Ascari, so no need to get side by side with him. He knows he's on a medium tyre, he knows he has more grip, and perhaps he wants to get past with him as soon as possible and make his way onto F1 Richard and maybe the podium towards the closing stages of the race. the two Ferrari guys though, will we see any team orders from them? Of course, Doiji is on fresher and a fresher medium tyres, which are also faster. So maybe he'll look to cruise past Racing Tej, which he is going to do with a little bit of he's on 0%, so he is running out of battery there, and Racing Tej is going to let him pass with no real battle fight there. So the Ferrari drivers playing it nice and sensibly there, as we have a little bit of a shuffle up between Spud Joe Hamster, who they were battling through turn 1, and Spud with that faster tyre compound is going to make the move on Joe Hamster. So just as I said they were giving me a break, they've chosen to turn up the heat, and it is now, we're now having a few battles arise over the track. Speaking of battles, this battle might be one soon to be. Tim Manzi's got 5-6 more laps to stretch this tyre to the end of the race, so he's going to be looking to do that. He's still got plenty of ARS to defend from, but Prix is getting very close to him, and probably quite impatient at the McLaren driver as well. Of course, if he does overtake him, it's still not the end of the world for the McLaren driver. He can still wait and recharge his ERS a little bit more and then get him at a later stage. But as you can see, Tim Manzi's got a slight bit more ERS. He's still using it, but Craig, has got the DRS and that overtake. So he's going to be going for a move down the inside of the McLaren driver. A little bit of banging of the wheels, but other than that, nice and clean. Nice move from the Renault driver, Tim Manzi. Slightly wavy there with his rear end. Babson said thank you for not spinning me out to the Renault driver, but the Renault driver is now kind of sent it off into the sunset. Tim Manzi can of course still stay with him, he's got plenty of ARS, he's still within that DRS zone, so he can still make that move. We're seeing a little bit of a shuffle up here. Shuffle up or contact? Maybe that is contact indeed. Racing Tej did go wide, very wide at turn 1, perhaps he was fighting with another driver, and he has decided to take the run off the exit. Go around this polystyrene barriers there, which does lose you a lot of time, but he didn't get a penalty for that. So of course very difficult to distinguish who got a penalty. A lot of the drivers do have a penalties. Nelly, possibly with 3 seconds, is going to be able to chase down Tim Manzi with 5. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out between those two drivers. But maybe Tim Manzi will be looking to make a move on Craig soon enough. Of course, there's still plenty of time left. Well, I say plenty of time. It is diminishing time there as Craig loses it on the exit of Parabolica, and conveniently he does that right in front of the pit lane, so he'll go into the pit lane and replace his front wing there. Very unfortunate for the Renault driver. He touched that green stuff on the exit of Parabolica. You can see just to the left of Tinus Optionel's car there. It can really destabilize your car, especially if you touch it with worn tyres, so if you lose it, you'll find yourself losing it quite hard, and he is replacing his front wing there, which will lose him a lot of time. Unfortunate for the Renault driver there. He is onto the soft tyres. Perhaps he'll be looking to set a fastest lap and make his way forwards from there. Tim Manzi now. Well, I'm not going to say anything. How about that? Let's not ruin any more races today, shall we? We've already ruined a few. Nelly is getting to the back of him now, though. He is trying to stay within that gap. Perhaps he knows Tim Manzi has few more penalties than him, so maybe he's just playing it safe and waiting and lets him do penalties do the trick on track. We have two drivers getting quite close as well, Racing Tej and the likes of Eric Pankowitz here in the Ferrari and the Racing Point respectively. He's onto the back of him just before the Della Roja chicane, but no move from the Ferrari driver yet now. He is of course on the hard tyres and the Racing Point is on the medium tyres, so perhaps he chose not to make the move there as there is a spun Ferrari, and Doiji has retired from the session in the middle of a Ascari. Now the game might not like that. The game might think that may well be worth a safety car right at the end of the race, but I don't quite think so. There's only a few more laps to go. The AI will retire his car hopefully in a safe place there at the side of the track. He spun out at Ascari, and perhaps he just figured there wasn't much point continuing on, that he wasn't in the top 10, so who knows, maybe his tyres overheated too much, maybe he just didn't feel there was much point. So he unfortunately retires, and he's going to find himself outside the top 10 there. I'll tell you what, he's getting a little bit close here. Well, the two Ferrari and the Renault here, sorry, they are getting a little bit close as well. But Nelly has made up a lot of time to the McLaren driver there. Of course, his tyres are much less worn than the McLaren driver's tyres. We'll see if Timanzi can defend this. This will be a very dire situation from him. In the dying stages of the race, his tyres are going to be wearing off drastically, and Nelly has got his eyes on that first position. I'm sure he's hungry to take it back. He wants it back after leading the race for so long, and he wants to take a second win after Japan. This driver's had a rather good start to his IRL debut, and he's getting onto the back of him now, just 2 tenths behind him. He's onto the pit straight now. This is the best place for overtaking as well. Will he use that DRS on a little bit of overtake? He's waiting. Timanzi's using a lot of overtake, and he's got a lot left, to be fair. Both drivers have a lot left, so this will be a very interesting battle that will play out in the final stages of the race. A few more laps to go though. Perhaps Nelly will be looking to make the move on Timanzi towards, or as close as possible to the final lap, and then get as far away from him as he can on that final lap with the ERS he charges up from being behind him, and then hopefully take the win that way as a rather commanding victory. F1 Richard is now beginning to drop off of the two drivers. His hard tyres are getting to 19 laps of wear, so very warm tyres. He, of course, has no penalties so far, and plenty of drivers around him have penalties, so maybe we'll see him move up a few positions. And now Nelly is getting onto the back of Timanzi, so he's telling him to get a little bit of a move on. Timanzi's tyres are getting pretty warm, but he's done a good job so far holding it with those tyres. Nelly, though, staying onto the back of him through Ascari. He'll probably be looking to make a move on the McLaren driver through the start-finish strip, but we'll see what they can do. Of course, after you start the last lap, after you go through that turn 1 of starting the 27th lap, the only real overtaking point Nelly will have is maybe before Ascari or maybe after Ascari. So both drivers will probably be wanting to deploy their overtake button now to try and stay ahead of each other, but Nelly does have that DRS, he does have that slipstream, he just can't quite catch on to him, but he is now slowly catching on. Timanzi goes to the inside line to try and defend. Will the Alfa Romeo driver make the move round the outside? Very hard racing between the two of them. Timanzi locking up there, he's holding the outside line. Or touching wheels, a little bit of wheel banging between the two drivers, but fair, clean racing other than that. This is excellent racing between the two drivers here. This is for the lead, ladies and gentlemen. Heading through Curva Grande into the Della Roger chicane, the Alfa Romeo is just slightly ahead of the McLaren driver. Timanzi tries to brake a little bit later there to make the move on the Alfa Romeo, but unfortunately, the Alfa Romeo does have much less wear on that medium tyre. So he will take that position as he will blast off into the sunset there. We'll see if Timanzi has enough of an advantage over F1 Richard to keep his second place. But by the looks of it, so far, he is looking at a very nice podium there. The rest of the drivers staying fairly apart from each other. A rather socially distanced race, one might say. Apart from Eric Pancakes, who's trying to get on the back of Craig. But Craig is on the soft tyres, of course, after pitting to change the front wing. He's still inside the points, so not too bad from him as his teammate retires on the last lap there. I don't think we can see what happened. His car is backwards at turn 1. Perhaps he lost it a little bit there as the winner of the race crosses the line. He is your race winner tonight. Nelly, second time race winner after Japan. What a brilliant race from him today. He drove a great race. He made his way up that field, perhaps not in the easiest of circumstances, and managed to pick up that first position on Timanzi. Timanzi does keep his second position despite the penalty from F1 Richard, who dropped off a little bit too far off of the McLaren driver perhaps there to the end. Timanzi, 21 laps of wear on those medium tyres, and he made it to the end. So that is impressive, to say the least, but proof that if you have the determination and that persistence, you really can take those medium tyres to the end of the race. Success pod finishing in 4th, just behind F1 Richard. Joe Hamster perhaps maybe won't be as happy with his performance. He was looking at the top 3, he was looking at a podium there towards the end of the race, but he finds himself in 5th position. So that is the race from him. Craig in 7th after pitting for that front wing change. Pretty good from him. Vitaly, of course, we're just now waiting for the Williams driver, who, hats off to him, he's been very resilient, and he's swerving there right now, perhaps noticing that he's been giving some credit on the stream there, but he is drove, yeah, I mean, I'll hats off to his persistence and his resilience. He drove and he finished that race. He even got some penalties, despite those penalties at the start of the race. Apologies for that, my mic just unplugged. I got a little bit too excited with my controller and I did end up falling off my seat here, so I did unplug my microphone there. I hope you enjoyed the stream, ladies and gentlemen, so far. Of course, we still have the podium interviews to come, so hopefully the podium finishers join us in a second for that, and hopefully they have their voices set to share, so we can hear them tonight. Nice podium celebration from Nelly. Lando Norris style there, although he doesn't have the McLaren suit on. He is having a whale of a time on that podium there. He's drove a good race there, and yeah, he had a great strategy. He had to make his way up through the pack, and yeah, hats off to him. He's had a good job there. So Nelly in first position, the Dutch driver for the Alfa Romeo team, taking his second win of the season so far at his second race for IRL. Tim Manzi in second place for the McLaren. Great result for him, and he'll be very happy with that, I am sure. He started in 8th and made his way up to 2nd, so brilliant for him. Even more noticeable, F1 Richard qualified in 12th, but made his way up to 3rd, so he finishes off the podium for us today. So Spud lines up in 4th for the Red Bull, with Joe Hamster in 5th. Eric Pancakes is in 6th, with Craig in 7th. Tinslop Chanel in 8th, the other Red Bull driver there. Daryl Whiffen in 9th, and the Ferrari driver in 10th, rounding off the top 10 there for us. In 11th, we have Steven the McLaren, not picking up any points for the McLaren team, but his teammate picking up a fair few to push that title fight to Mercedes. Towley in 12th, Aldino in 13th, and Doiji in 14th. And that is the last of our runners, race runners. So now, as we have the podium finishers joining us tonight, I believe we have all of them here with us. Yes, we do. Do you have your voices set to share, ladies and gentlemen? Not ladies, gentlemen. Perfect. Nelly, do you have your voice set to share? Perfect. So hopefully the viewers can hear you tonight. So, of course, UTEC P1 there. Very impressive drive from you. It's your second race at IRL, and I mean, to take another win, that's just fantastic from you. You took advantage of that safety car, didn't you? And you used those medium tyres and made your way up the field. Was it difficult after that? After the safety car, sorry. Was it difficult to make your way through the pack?
So I had a comfortable lead after the safety car, so I stretched my soft stint to about lap 11 and then decided to go just for the normal strategy and go for the mediums. I decided not to pit because yeah, I would have fresher mediums at the end, and I knew I had to overtake some people, so yeah, I needed those fresher mediums.
Yeah, nice. And at the end there, we saw you behind Tin Man Z there. Were you waiting for the last lap to make your move, to really make sure you sealed off that first place?
Yeah, I was trying to. I lost all my ERS, so I was gaining ERS and driving on lean, and I was able to keep up with him with just the DRS, and eventually I thought I would just go for it in the last lap. I thought he was out of ERS, his lights were flickering, so but he still was making it a pretty hard job for me to overtake. Eventually I got it done in turn 1.
Yeah, that is brilliant. You had a good battle between you two. I was watching that and very respectful from you two. I was wondering if it was going to end up in a crash, but you two kept it nice and clean. So, on to Tin Man Z there in second place. I believe your first podium of the season so far. How does that feel for you?
It feels great after having some podiums from last season. Coming back to have another one to start in the first early few races this season is very good.
Yeah, that's great, and it's great for McLaren as well in the constructors' standings. So you're helping out your teammate a little bit there and taking the title fight to Mercedes. So when those medium tyres there you put on, you stretched them right to the end of the race. How difficult was that today?
It was very difficult. I was actually running about 80% wear on the last lap, so
Oh, wow.
It wasn't ideal. To be
So that
honest.
was puncture territory. You were just praying that
It
nothing
was
was going to
yeah.
happen there.
I was
Right.
really hoping that it wouldn't, and luckily it didn't.
Rather good there, and yeah, Craig made an overtake on you at the end, but he unfortunately did lose it a Parabolica, which I bet was a little bit of a gift to you, and I bet you were a bit happy with that. Were you worried when he overtook you on the hard tyres, or did you think you could get him back eventually?
I was quite worried. I don't think I would have managed to get him back. Some absolutely great driving from Craig there. It was just a bit unlucky that he just stepped the rear out on that.
Well, some great battles, some great driving, and some great battles from you as well today, of course, taking that second position. Well done. And now we move on to third with F1 Richard. So we saw you towards the end there. You had a little bit of a gap to the top two, but you didn't get any penalties today this race, which was quite good from you. You also stretched those hard tyres quite far. Was that difficult on the hard tyre?
Hi mate. Yeah, I don't think the stretching the hard tyres was difficult. I think they'd go. I tested them out before, and you could almost do a full race distance on them. So
yeah.
I wasn't worried about that. It was just keeping it clean and keeping it penalty free, which has just worked out perfect tonight. It really has. It was quite a boring race from my side. It was just clean and keep it on the black stuff, and avoid all the mayhem.
Yeah, that's part of being a good driver, staying away from those penalties and driving some consistent pace there. And yeah, I mean, we did see some drivers struggle on the hard tyres there, but clearly you got it settled there. Did you have a slightly higher downforce setup, or what was the key there to your hard tyre pace?
We did a practice on the Sunday night, and I tested out the mediums, and then I just tested it online the hards, and they just felt okay. They weren't as fast, obviously, but they were just steady, and they were steady for every lap. So I just kept it like that.
It just clicked. And, well,
yeah, when I saw Tin Man on the mediums leaving the pits, I thought, brilliant. Towards the end of the race, he'll be sitting duck, but unfortunately, as I've just heard, well done, mate.
I know, he did pull it out the bag there. Did the safety car play to your race there?
Again, I just judged that if it was going to be an early safety car, then I would just change to the hard. I was always going soft medium, but then early pit stop with the safety car, just put the hards on.
Yeah. And just final question for you here. The McLaren guys are pushing up to your first place in the constructors standing. Of course, Brennan's isn't at the races, or he hasn't been attending in Japan or here in Italy. Are you worried about that constructors championship, or do you think maybe when he comes back you'll be able to keep that first place?
Well, I'm hoping that Brennan's is back next week. I'm just glad that I have scored points while I've been under a little bit of pressure from him, to score points while he's not been here. But yeah, I'm sure once we both hit the track again and we get consistent, hopefully we can keep the constructors going. Yeah.
All right. Well, a good race from all of you today, gentlemen. Some great battles. I had definitely some fun moments in the commentary box there. Enjoyed that race a lot myself. And I, of course, hope that all of you tonight enjoyed it as well. So if you did enjoy it, do make sure to leave a like on this stream. We are going for a like goal of 10, so if we do hit that, that'll be brilliant. I will check if we do. Do subscribe to Invictus Racing League as well, and make sure not to miss the race tomorrow, which is the Realistic Performance League. They'll take the track for the final time today at Italy, before we have Austria next week. And do make sure to follow us on our socials as well, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, to stay up to date with all things we have to offer here at Invictus Racing League. So, from everyone here tonight, I wish you all a great evening and a good night.